Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into how technology is changing the way we learn?
Absolutely.
We're talking about something called VALT.
Okay.
And it's,
I've heard of this.
yeah, and I was really interested when I saw it in the notes because it's all about using video to train and learn better.
Yeah, it's not just about being interesting anymore. It's almost like a requirement these days with the way things are changing so fast. Video isn't just something you watch now, right? It's
Uh-huh.
becoming a crucial part of how we observe, how we give feedback, how we even reflect on our own learning.
So fill us in. What exactly is VALT? Because I know it's more than just hitting record on a Zoom call.
Oh, definitely. We're not talking about just basic video recording here. This is a whole sophisticated platform all built around using video for education. And when I say video, I mean high definition recording with the ability to zoom in on those little details that matter.
Okay.
For example, let's say you're learning surgery.
Yeah?
VALT can record those procedures and then allow you to digitally zoom in on the surgeon's hands, see precisely how they're maneuvering the instruments during, say, a laparoscopic surgery. You can catch those subtle movements, the nuances that make all the difference.
Wow, that's incredible. We're talking way beyond my old college lectures, where the height of technology was the professor struggling to switch slides.
I can imagine.
And it's not just about one classroom at a time, is it? This multi-view thing I saw in the material was intriguing.
Ah, yes. The multi-view is incredible. Imagine you're observing a teacher training program. With VALT's multi-view feature, you can have a grid on your screen, watching up to 9 classrooms simultaneously.
Wow.
It allows you to compare different teaching styles, see how various instructors approach the same material. It gives you such a broader perspective on the dynamics of learning.
Okay, that's seriously impressive. I can already see the potential. It's not limited to classrooms, though, right? Because they were talking about mobile recording, too.
Exactly. They call that feature BEAM, and it's a game changer because it takes learning outside those traditional classroom walls.
Okay.
Imagine, for instance, nurse students. They can be out there practicing patient assessments on virtual patients using augmented reality, or even in real-life scenarios, recording everything with VALT. And then they can review it later, analyze their performance.
Wow. That makes me think about how different things might have been if I'd had this during my carpentry apprenticeship.
Really?
Yeah, it was all about trying to decipher handwritten notes from my mentor.
Oh, wow.
If I could have had recordings with timestamps, maybe even the ability to zoom in on specific techniques, it would have been revolutionary.
It really shows you the power of making learning instantly accessible and something you can review. But it's not enough to just have the recordings, right? We have to turn them into something actionable, insights that actually help people learn and improve.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like having all these amazing cookbooks, but never actually trying any of the recipes.
Right, exactly.
So how does Volt make that jump from passive recording to active learning?
That's where all these cool features we've been talking about come into play. Remember those timestamps?
Yeah.
Well, Vault lets you use them to mark specific moments during a recording. For feedback. Let's say a student is grasping a difficult concept.
Right.
You can pinpoint that exact moment. Or maybe they stumble on something.
Yeah.
You can mark that too, and it makes giving feedback so much more effective because you're focused on those critical moments.
It's like having virtual sticky notes right on the timeline of the video.
Mm-hmm.
No more scrubbing through hours of footage.
Yeah.
So much better.
Exactly, and it gets even better. With the collaborative review feature, it's not just the instructor giving feedback.
Oh, interesting.
Students and instructors can watch those recordings together, have discussions, really be in sync with the whole learning process.
That's how I learn best. Talking things through, getting that immediate feedback. It makes such a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of feedback, you mentioned student self-assessment, which I thought was really interesting. What's that all about?
It's all about empowering those students, giving them an active role in their own development. So imagine a student, maybe they just finished a presentation.
Okay.
Instead of waiting anxiously for feedback, they can immediately review that recording on Vault, see for themselves how they did. They can analyze their own delivery, maybe identify areas where the content could be stronger. It's incredibly valuable.
Okay. This all sounds amazing in theory, but I have to ask, does it actually work in the real world? What kind of impact is Vault having out there in the field?
Yeah, the case studies are really where you see it in action. And what's fascinating is that across different fields, it's not just about the technology itself. It's about fostering this culture of feedback, this idea of always getting better.
So it's less about feedback being this big, scary thing and more like a normal part of the process.
Exactly. One quote that really resonated with me was about how Vault allows for instantaneous feedback.
Oh, wow.
Imagine debriefing with a student right after a simulation while it's all still fresh in their minds. That's powerful stuff.
That makes sense. When I'm trying to learn something new,
Hmm.
yeah, if I don't get feedback right away, I might just keep making the same mistakes without realizing it.
Right. And with VALT, the feedback is rooted in that video evidence, So it becomes more specific, objective, and ultimately more effective. Students aren't just told what to improve, they see it.
Seeing is believing, right? But did these case studies show actual improvements? Like, did students' performance actually get better after using VALT?
The results are pretty impressive. There's a definite link between using VALT and better performance, especially in areas where you need that hands-on experience, like counseling, therapy, teacher training. For example, one university found that students who used VALT showed much more progress in their clinical skills than students in the past.
Wow, those are some really tangible outcomes. It's one thing to say, oh, this technology is cool, but it's another thing entirely to see that it's actually helping people develop real-world skills.
It empowers them, too. The studies found that VALT boosted student engagement. Their motivation went up. When they can actually see themselves in action, analyze how they did, get specific feedback, they're more invested in learning.
It's like they say, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. VALT seems to hit all those points.
It does, and it makes you think, right, how can we use technology like this to personalize learning, make it more data-driven, and just overall more effective? That's something I hope you'll keep exploring.
It's a really important question, and I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. I'm fascinated by how tech is shaping education, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Be sure to tune in next time as we keep exploring the future of learning.